Okay, it's about to go live. Should I let everybody in, or do you want me to wait? Oh, no, no, no. Hold on a second. Um,
It's up to you. We're just approving meeting minutes before, right? There's not really anything else in the agenda that I see. So we probably want to start with them early anyway, since they're waiting.
I'm going to let the other three in. One moment.
Dan, hi Susie.
Okay, Andy, you're all set to go.
Hey, awesome. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and call the November 13th, 2024 Akron Public Art Commission meeting to order. Um, we had Haley, the intern, put together meeting minutes for the September 11th and October 9th meeting. So we just need a motion to approve those minutes if you guys have had time to review those. And everyone's cool with the meeting minutes.
Not sure. Did I get those sent to me? Summer? When she combined the two?
Yeah, I sent out two attachments in the email. I think it was yesterday morning.
Yesterday,
Yeah, I think I see the attachments, but I don't see the meeting minutes from the
so
past 2 months.
if we can
You
hold
should
off
have
on putting
one with
those, Andy.
September and October.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah,
please. Sorry, I'm what?
Yeah, if we can hold off on approving those, I'll get my eyes on them and send it back out to everyone.
yeah, that sounds good to me. So if we just want to move forward, we have we have folks here to present about the Chikaya Booker mural installation, or not mural, it's a sculpture installation, I think down at Lock 3. For the new Lock 3 is going to be like permanent sculptures. So if you guys would like to take over, we'll just give you the floor. And then after you're done, if the presentation's done, feel free to stick around if you're interested in hanging out or go. So,
Hey, Andy, did you do roll call already? I'm sorry.
oh, yeah, yeah. Here we go. It's real quick. Right. So I'm gonna call your name, and if you're here, just say aye. So I think the only person I hear is Larissa. So we'll just say Larissa, and I don't see Larissa on the Zoom call visually, so I'm assuming Larissa's not here. Um, John,
Here.
Eric,
Oh, wait,
Eric,
yeah, was it?
I think he's here. I
Here.
think I saw his name. I see him. Leo,
Hi guys.
Jessica,
Hello, I'm here.
Roberta,
Hello, I'm here. Roberta.
and Megan.
Hi.
Right. So we're all here except for Larissa Brown. All right. We're all here, Summer, except for Larissa.
You ready for us to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to share my screen. But firstly, I'm Annie Wishmeyer. I'm the Chief Curator over at Curated Storefront, and we are really excited to be here. I'm here with Dan Rice to share about the Ja'Kiah Booker Commission, and we're really excited about the prospect of bringing this piece to Lock 3 Park.
Well, Annie's sharing her screen, maybe provide a little bit of context that, so first of all, thank you so much for having us on your agenda today. We really appreciate it. This is an important component of the redevelopment of Lock 3. This has been a 4-year journey through our resident-led process of asking the residents what they would like to see in Lock 3 to make it a 365-day park. And one of the key components of that is art. And so over 4 years ago, and actually that's a great picture there, Annie, of what Lock 3 used to look like, because Lock 3, as we all know, was an amazing event, concert, and festival facility. But what it wasn't is an everyday park. And as you can see by this picture, it's a beautiful day here in Akron in this picture, but aren't too many people there hanging out in the park. And so we work with the neighborhood residents. We developed a task force with 13 residents to come up with a vision statement for what that art could look like. And I can just read you the vision statement if it's helpful. And that is to fulfill the vision of Lock 3 Park, the Art Task Force seeks diverse local, national, and international artists to provide iconic, interactive, and inspirational art for Lock 3 Park. Our goal is to enhance the environment of Lock 3 Park as a destination for residents and visitors, to create opportunities for inclusion, education, engagement, and civic dialogue amongst all citizens in the region. And we are committed to engaging artists whose work creates an accessible, equitable, and welcoming park for all. And so thank you so much for sharing that slide, Annie, of who the members of the task force were. And then the task force casted a very wide net. And we partnered, and Annie's going to go into more information about that, but we partnered with Curated Storefront because this is really their superpower, if you will. They do a wonderful job of curating art in our Akron community. And so that's why we partnered with Annie and Rick Rogers and Curated Storefront to be the leads on this. And so I just wanted to provide that context and background. There were over 23 meetings of the Art Task Force since 2021. And so this is really kind of the culmination of that process. And I'm going to turn it over to Annie, unless there's any quick questions about what I just covered. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Annie.
All right. So since Curated Storefront was founded through a Knight grant in 2015, primarily installing artwork in storefronts, we are in the process of really expanding our scope of work and looking to produce some more monumental, more permanent installations around the city. And so this is part of that. This is an extension of that new branch of work that we are working on. Ja'Kiah is an artist that we have had the opportunity to work with on a handful of occasions previously. She was one of the artists that we hosted as a part of the Front Triennial in 2022. And she actually had a solo show at the Akron Art Museum back in 1999 or 2000, I believe. So she has been a known entity around the city for a number of years. She is an internationally renowned artist who has shown in America, Asia, Europe, and Africa, and is in over 40 public collections, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Storm King Art Center, and the National Museum of Women in the Arts. She is best known for her pioneering use of recycled rubber tires as raw material for her monumental sculptures. She was working primarily on the Lower East Side in the 1980s before it had been gentrified and revitalized. And she recalls seeing these piles of discarded tires littering the streets. And as a young artist with not a whole lot of money to her name to finance her work, she decided to start repurposing these materials into her work and developed a really incredible way of manipulating this industrial material into these lyrical sculptures that are sometimes at a really monumental scale. So here's an installation shot from when she was at Quaker Square in 2022. And while she was here, she also did a site visit and a number of sessions with students at the I Promise School, which they really loved. And then this sculpture went on to be installed on view at the University of Akron. And to wrap up her visit here, she also gave a lecture at E.J. Thomas Hall on the purpose of repurposing. Environmentalism is a really strong theme in her work. She talks a lot about the importance of recycling and being environmentally conscious with making work. And then she layers that on top of themes of revitalization, the African diaspora, gender, textiles, all sorts of things get woven together to create these really incredible sculptures. We were also the recipient for a prestigious VIA Art Fund grant to help finance this project. The VIA Art Fund, if you're not familiar, is a interesting art financing organization that is, all of the selections are made by the donors. So all the donors across the entire country meet and help actually select these projects, and they only select a handful of projects per year. So we were really excited and grateful to be one of the recipients of that grant. So a little bit more about Chikaya's work. This is an example of a piece that was commissioned by Millennium Park in Chicago and is currently touring around the country. So as you can see, you know, without prior knowledge, you'd probably be hard pressed to tell that these are made out of rubber tires. But yes, all of her materials are recycled. They are also sourced not only from the auto industry, but from dairy industry, cattle farming, all sorts of various resources to make sure that as much material is recycled in her work as possible. So see, here's a piece that is actually currently on view in Times Square. This is another piece that has also been touring around the country. I believe it was originally commissioned by the Oklahoma Museum of Fine Arts and then traveled to Washington University in St. Louis, and then now onto Times Square, where it's going to be for a little bit before I think it returns home to Oklahoma. Here is another piece of her large outdoor sculpture. And then she also does things in downtown settings as well. I believe this was part of the a public sculpture commission done by Washington, D.C. for their streetways. Does anybody have any questions, or is there something else you would like me to speak to about this work?
Wait. All of this is made out of the tires?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really remarkable. I mean, there's a metal infrastructure underneath, but pretty much everything you see on the exterior is all recycled rubber material. So like some of the pieces that we had at Quaker Square included rubber milking teats from the dairy industry for the weaning of cattle. So she's sourcing all different types of materials from all different places. But yes, it is all recycled, all repurposed and reused.
Wow. It's amazing.
I
Yeah.
got the opportunity to see these at Quaker Square in person. They're like very striking in person.
They are. And I'll add that I think it's really interesting bringing her into the conversation in downtown Akron with the sculpture of the rubber worker down the street. You know, both are celebrating or really speak to the identity of Akron, whereas the rubber worker celebrates the past. And Chikaya's work, when speaking about revitalization, environmental concerns, race, gender identity, really, I think, speaks to the future. And so having these two pieces in conversation with each other just down the street, I think, is a really compelling opportunity.
Does anyone have any comments? John, Megan,
Annie,
Leo?
is there a design chosen yet for Lot
No,
3?
there has not been a design chosen yet. We are holding off on asking her to commit any labor to us until we had final approval to move forward with this. We've talked about a few sites and locations and some designs that we are interested in, but we will start the design process once we have a contract in place and approval. And then that those designs will then be again approved by the selection committee to make sure that it's something that is viable for installation.
So usually, if I'm not mistaken, we could probably give like a preliminary approval because usually we have to see the design.
Sure. And we'd be happy to come back to you with the designs that she provides for us. But we didn't feel.
I'm well aware of it. I think I knew about this project and I think it's phenomenal. Do you mind if Andy, do you mind if I just kind of jump to the budget real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
We don't really have a design to look at. That's great. So just looking at the budget, the only thing that I'm wondering, those to me are the upfront expenses, but what's going to be the ongoing care plan? And maybe that was in the submittable and I missed it. But I'm very, as you and I both know, public sculptures are very expensive to take care of, all of that, as we're working on a few here at the museum. So I'm just wondering about where will those dollars come from? What's the plan going to look like? Things of that sort. And certainly for this piece and such an artist of that caliber, we really want this to weather the Ohio change of seasons and be around and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. That was definitely part of the decision-making process that the selection committee kept in mind. The maintenance of these pieces is actually really quite simple. They get sprayed down with WD-40 every once in a while. And that is something that Curated Storefront would work with the city to maintain that maintenance plan. I think it'd be guided by Curated Storefront with the assistance and implementation of the crew at Lock 3 Park.
So all that expense would be covered by the city, is that correct?
I believe that is the agreement. Dan, can you remind me what we had settled on with that?
I believe actually we talked about was that Curated Storefront was
covering that. Yeah.
Primarily because you guys have experience in maintaining outdoor sculptures and disrespect to Chris Griffith and the crew down there, they do an amazing job, but I just don't know how much experience they have with maintaining sculptures. And John's a great question, and it's something that Annie's done a lot of research on and talking with Shikaya. And what Shikaya's feedback is that they, other than spraying with WD-40, which I find interesting, I didn't know that, it's pretty minimal because of the materiality.
Yeah, it's a rubber tire. I mean, as long as all the stainless steel is, well, even the stainless steel it's no maintenance to it. So
right.
Yeah, it's really the WD-40 is just to help keep the rubber supple. So it is just as simple as getting sort of an industrial sprayer and a couple cans of WD-40. And then, they have an established track record of being substantial works that survive well in various conditions for long periods of time.
And then my only other comment is indeed the insurance and making sure that the city is well aware, because this piece has significant value. And so there might be a separate insurance rider needed than general property and casualty. I'm not sure.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Manny. I would imagine, John, that we can talk to others or have Annie research what they do in Chicago and other big cities. I mean,
yeah, it's for them to handle. I just wanted to mention that as a point of just notation only.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine if they have this in Chicago, Akron means nothing. I mean, as far as crime wise, right? Anything happening to it or whatnot, but that's just my 2 cents.
We had also explored a couple different models of how to approach the siting of the sculpture at Lock 3 Park. And right now, the current plan is that the sculpture would remain under ownership of Curated Storefront. And so the insurance would also be covered by Curated Storefront. And then we will do a separate contract with the city, for specific to the siting, but not specific to the maintenance and ownership of the artwork. We had also at one point discussed gifting the sculpture to the city, but that seemed to throw up some other complications. So this is right now where the current conversation is with that. So under that model, there wouldn't be any expense to the city or the park for insurance, because that would be covered by curated storefront.
Okay, so why isn't it installed yet? Like-
Well, that's a great question. We wanted to follow the process and follow the due diligence. And so, like I said, the art task force has been meeting, since 2021. You had a new administration come in, and we wanted to make sure that the new administration was on board with this. And we just want to check all the boxes.
Yeah.
And so I hope that makes sense. There was no intentional delay on our behalf. We just wanted to make sure that we answered all the questions, was fully vetted, and we had the support. So I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure we were going through the proper channels, but Shakaya is really, really excited about the prospect of doing this. She has really fallen in love with Akron and is really excited to do something specific for the city.
You had mentioned that you have a couple spots and ideas. Can you share what you have so far, out of curiosity more than anything?
Sure. I guess I did not include that slide in here. We worked with Olin Studios to do some siting feasibility studies. One of the sites, and something that Shakaya I know was particularly excited about, was something that would be right up at street level that could somehow sort of function as almost like a portal, something you could walk through to get into the park. So that's one of the things that we're talking about. And there's a couple other locations sort of in the planting beds throughout the park. So it would really depend. I think it's going to be a back and forth between the ultimate design that is picked and the site versus the site, and then designing a piece to go in that particular location. So that's still a bit up in the air, but there are, I think they identified 4 different sites that would be ideal for a sculpture at like the large scale that she likes to work at.
I have that map in if you want me to
Oh,
pull
if you
it up.
have it, that would be great.
Yeah. But I guess you need to, okay.
Oh,
stop
I can stop sharing.
So here is to help orient folks. I mean, this is Main Street on the right here. The Ohio and Erie Canal is here. And so these were just a number of different potential locations for art in Lock 3. This is the Maynard Performance Pavilion, the Night Lawn. And I believe back here, Annie, I think that's where they were thinking about initially, kind of the secret lawn close to the Akron Children's Museum, which is right here on the side of the building.
Yep.
That's where generally we were thinking, if that makes sense to everybody. Can everybody see it big enough? I can make it bigger.
No, that's good.
Okay. And to Eric's question, we are exploring other potential artists, but again, we want to follow the process of vetting it, and then and sharing it with the city administration, make sure they are on board with it, and then certainly bring it back to you all to get your feedback as well. But it's been a very robust process with an emphasis on diversity, young artists. I really can't say enough great things about Rick Rogers and Annie Wishmeyer, because they're really experts in this field about diverse artists. And the goal, and John, you certainly know this as well, that if you get an artist of a high enough caliber, and this is what they've taught me, it gives people just one more reason to visit Lock 3. And that's what the goal is here.
Yeah, this ties in nicely with the artists that have been chosen for the murals on the Civic.
Yes.
I mean, we just have some outstanding international artists, and for sure. So
yeah.
So I have one question, Dan, and so the location there, right?
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
It seems to be.
I'll bring it back, Eric. My apologies.
Okay, no worries. So I know exactly where that is, right? And to me, and I'm not arguing, I just have a question. It's like tucked away per se, right? So as anyone coming down Main Street, they won't see it. So it's literally for the spring, summertime, maybe fall, where people are walking to actually enjoy that.
Eric, I think that's a really good point. And I don't know that it's been fully decided on the exact location. I think that's just a potential location. And if I could add a little bit more, and Susie, if it's okay that I add a little bit more, because we've been talking about entrance signage to Lock 3, and that one of the other potential locations was somewhere maybe up here along, I think in this number 6 area, but that area now will have a sign that says Lock 3 Akron. And so it's a kind of a matter of kind of fitting everything into the space, but not overwhelm the space. There'll be an oversized number 3. I'm kind of giving away going to give you all the surprises here that you're going to see in about 2 weeks or so. But it's a good point, Eric. And then the other thing is the slope here is not as steep as it used to be. So you can actually see more into the park, even into this area, than you used to be, because they've leveled out the elevation. But I appreciate that feedback. And Annie, am I correct in saying it really isn't fully vetted about the exact location? We're just looking at potential locations, right?
Yeah, this was just a feasibility study that was done by the design team. So I think that, some of these blocks are really large and very general. I think there are multiple other locations. I mean, I know Chicaya was excited about being potentially up at street level, and we had talked about that portal. So maybe there's space at the other end, closer to the Civic Theater for something like that, or something that would be closer to the street level. Yeah,
Okay.
this was just something that was put together as a preliminary suggestion from the design team.
That's exciting. Okay, thank you.
The other thing about that one, I'm saying this, I walk down Bowery almost every day because I work in the First Energy building downtown, and I actually walk around this and through Lock 3, and I've been wanting to eat lunch there for like weeks. I just see it open, so I'm waiting for them to take the fence down. But I walk over every day, and I'm watching them build that stage. So I saw they were open on the 29th, so I'm excited. But you can see back down in there, and actually down behind that, down back behind Bowery, between Lock 3 and the hospital, there's tons of folks that walk back there every day just on the towpath trail. And so like you can actually see that pretty clearly from the towpath trail and up on Bowery as well. So if she does really big sculpture installations, you're going to be able to see that the whole way up Bowery looking down as well. And probably also from the street. So it's not necessarily a bad location. You might actually be able to see more of it from all around the park as well as inside. You just can't see it on the map. There's a lot of stuff just to the south of that where you could probably directly see that right where that sculpture's at around the corner.
Yep. And thank you for your patience, Andy. The concrete barriers will be removed. Temporary fencing will be put up, but yes, after November 29th, come on in, have lunch, bring your friends.
I'm excited. I'm going to sit there. I'll be there. If you walk down around 12, I'll probably be sitting there. So
I'll meet you down there.
I have a
I just
question.
wanted to see. Oh,
Oh.
cool. I was going to see if anyone else had a question. I want to make sure everyone got a chance to. So
Great minds. Oh yeah, I have a question. So, she seems like she does amazing work, beautiful artwork. I was wondering, was it like an artist call, or did like you guys just research somebody? Because I only asked because I went to an event in Columbus and I knew a guy that did similar things, working with not retired, working with recycled like tires and stuff like that. And I was wondering, did we like check in home first before we outsource art?
It's a great question about the process, and I'm glad you asked it, because you give me an opportunity to talk about our commitment to local artists as well. Because early on in our task force conversations, we had some really robust conversation about the importance of local art as well as national and international art, because you're never going to be national and international unless you're given a chance. And so for this first piece out of the gate, we did focus on more the national and the international, really a known artist that could really bring people to the space. And so really, it was really through referrals, Rick and his associates, Annie, and other, certainly, art museums around the area, what potential artists could really draw people into the space. But we have developed, and we just hadn't shared with you at this meeting, we'd be happy to come back. We have an entire process laid out that we've shared with the city regarding the potential for local artists engagement in Lock 3 Park. And so it's a pretty robust strategy. It's just a concept, nothing set in stone, but there was a really good conversation about a commitment to local artists as well as national and international artists. And we'd be happy to bring that back to you. But again, I would defer to Susie, because they're the ones, ultimately responsible for that. I hope that's helpful background.
Susie, your hand's up.
Hey, look at that.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish any questions before I hop in with these other ones.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that I get what you're saying, Dan, and like I am more on the side of making sure that we are searching within our community before we outsource because it's so much talent, in America, in Ohio, in Akron, and I understand wanting to bring people from all of the United States in, but that having that city pride of somebody that was a resident here to do that, that I feel like that would attract people too, because it's a pride thing. Also, I want to know, how did the art task force come together? Like, was that like a public thing, or was that like behind the scenes kind of thing and people got together?
It was really just organic, how we developed it. And again, this was going back to 2021, so it was the previous administration. And we basically approached the city and said, could you help us with some potential names, who could be good representatives? Summer was definitely a member of the task force as well. And then Nicole Mowat, Dara Harper at the time was also a member of the task force. So it was really through associations and network. It really wasn't an open call. It was just really through connections, who actually knew folks, and we really relied upon our partners to recommend folks, because that's not what Ohio and Your Cowboy Coalition does. I've dealt with artists a little bit, with the murals on Quaker Street and John Communal with the archways on the Towpath Trail, but that's not our strength. We rely upon our partners for that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was just wondering. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that that's a really good question. And one of the things that we're figuring out with the new administration is how the performing talent, as well as any talent that we showcase with respect to visual art or other arts in the space, is a balance of, we want to be able to have national acts on stage from time to time, but it's also very important that folks from our community can see themselves in the space. And so we are actively working on that balancing act. So you'll see that in the programming of the folks that are on stage, as well as incorporation of local artists moving forward in the space. We want to be really thoughtful about the work that Olin has done in the design of the park. It is spectacular design. So we want to be thoughtful about where local art is integrated, as well as national artists as well. And make sure that we're doing that and installing it and then caring for it the way that it should be done. Which gets me to one of the points that I wanted to make about the Shakaya Booker piece. With respect to location, I'm sure that part of your ongoing discussion with her will be about the size of the work. I'm sure the size will dictate the location as well, but it's important for us to figure out a place where the art can be considered really thoughtfully, so that people can sort of come around it, understand more about it. I think her work is very intriguing, and I'm sure people will get a lot of raised eyebrows. So we want to give a fair opportunity for people to have that sort of dialogue with the work in the space and understand more about her and her process for the development of it. I did want to offer up, so Downtown Akron Partnership has an agreement with the city for the Boa Mistura installation that is on the STEM Plaza. So this is a really good example of having one of these agreements in place with someone else whose responsibility is to maintain and license and also then insure artwork. So Downtown Akron Partnership is that agent for the work that's up on the STEM Plaza that's not actually insured by the city. Dan very diplomatically articulated sometimes the city has challenges when it comes to maintaining things like works of art. So we prefer to defer to the experts and also to have an agreement in place should there be something that would occur to the artwork, what happens next. So we want to make sure that all those things are lined up before we finalize that agreement. Should it be damaged? What's the protocol? In 25 years or in 35 years, and the artwork, it's time for the artwork to come down or it's starting to look disheveled. What is the protocol that we will follow? We want to have all that figured out now so that 30 years down the road or 50 years down the road, someone isn't cursing our names saying, why didn't you guys put this in writing way back when? So we want to make sure that we have those things ironed out. And then the last thing is, this is an incredible opportunity to work with a national artist, and leaning into that resident-led engagement. I think however we might be able to make the most of opportunities to encourage our local community to somehow be able to communicate with Shakaya and inform her process. I would really love to see that. So to whatever extent she is open to that, whether we're, holding forums. I know Howard had talked about, are there ways to hold sort of public forums where we talk about her work and we talk about her as an artist, and then we, put thoughts about our community down. However, we might be able to fully engage or more engage with that process. I think our community will be excited to see the outcome come the spring.
Absolutely. We can definitely talk to Chikaya about that. I mean, community engagement has been really important to her, so I don't see her shying away from that in this process.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, is there anything further, other questions, anything? I mean, like I said, we're happy to come back once we have some design proposals from Chikaya, get final confirmation, especially also including the siting, location and work. I mean, Susie, you bring up the great point that, giving the work space so that people can actually circulate around it and spend some time with it is, I think, really important. And that will definitely go into the consideration for the siting, but we will definitely come back with proposals on all fronts.
So Annie, I'll just add to that. You mentioned the location, the design, of course, or a few designs to kind of give the commission an idea. And then also, there does need to be a care plan submitted, or whatever that contract's going to be.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that we really, as a commission, need to be consistent with, all people applying for and things of that sort. But I don't know if we can take a vote on this, but like from a preliminary approval, I'm all for this. I think this is great and want to make sure that we keep you moving forward because you need to know that you can, so you don't get any hurdles with the commission. But I firmly believe that as long as we have all those same elements that we require of others in place so that we're being equitable, that'd be great.
Yeah, John, I think there was a preliminary kind of care plan. I don't know how detailed it was, but I think it mentioned that seasonally in the spring, fall, winter. So basically once per season, so quarterly.
Right,
that
but
the
we need to
duties
make sure
would
we
be
have
applied,
the
like an actual
contract.
full document. Yeah.
Yeah, that's being handled by
Okay,
Curator
yeah.
Storefront, all of that, because to Susie's point, once all of us are no longer in these roles or what have you, we're trying to stop this vicious cycle that public art gets placed somewhere and then nobody has any documentation or anything of that sort to know, well, how's this supposed to be taken care of? Because the people that established it are no longer here, that type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really nice to know that there is already a similar agreement in place with the STEM Plaza. But yes, we do have instructions from Chikaya, and we will make sure that that goes into that contract.
Yeah, and we're starting our own major filing or file process and things of that sort. That we've just taken an inventory of all the public art and things of that sort. So it's going to be our job to keep that up to date.
Great.
Megan, Roberta, I don't know if we heard anything from you guys. Do you guys have any comments or concerns or questions?
Oh, I just wanted to say that I was hoping that it will be up on Main Street. I think there's a lot of traffic that goes by that can stop and see it. And it looks like it would be more towards that Key Bank there, or the university, the old Polsky building, and near the Civic. And I think that would be the best location for it. And can we get her to do maybe some bubbleheads for the baseball, the stadium or something to publicize it more?
I think that's a fun idea. We can definitely talk to her about that.
Roberta, you got to help me out. A bubblehead, just like the fathead kind of thing. Okay.
Hey, Roberta, you're muted, just so you know. Still muted.
Yes, like the bubble heads that they have, like the Sojourner Truth little statue that they had, something that people can walk home with so that they have a part of downtown Akron with them.
I mean, she is known for her incredible headdresses. She's constantly sort of swathed in this sort of halo of fabric. So it could really lend itself to that. That would not have occurred to me, but that could be a very fun idea.
It's awesome.
Fully in support of a bobblehead. I think that's really fun.
Obviously, I think it's great. I remember seeing these sculptures in person at Quaker Square, and I remember stopping and staring at them for about like 40 minutes, walking around them. So I'd be happy to go see them in Block 3. I think it's super cool. I'm pretty excited to be able to like take people there to go look at it. Now that some of that stuff's moved around in curated storefront. So excited to see what you guys do. I don't have any other questions. I guess we'll do the last call if anyone else has any questions. Otherwise, we'll let you guys go. So we don't want to like hold you hostage forever. So
Do we need to give them a verbal like?
I'm not sure that until we have the things like John was saying, like the care plan and then like final design or anything else that we want to like take a vote yet. So maybe we wait on it instead of like giving any sort of preliminary like decision on like the art, etc.
Okay.
Dan, Ann, is that going to hold you up at all, or can we just?
I think as long as we have your preliminary blessing and everybody is excited and on board with the project, I think we can proceed in good faith with Chikaya that this will happen and we can get a contract in place with her and get her an honorarium to start work.
Yeah, I would agree if it could be at least a preliminary or a conditional approval pending returning to you all with the final design, with the final.
Andy, I suggest, we've done this before. I suggest we just do a conditional approval.
Yeah.
So that way it's
Conditional. Yeah, I think we're all pretty on board. I just, like you were saying too, just want to be equitable with the process. But if you and everyone else in the commission's okay with that, I'd be okay with that. Or even just approving the artist, because I think that's what they're looking for as well. So
I'll just make a, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're talking a lot. Let's just get through it. And I think everyone's on board.
Yeah, let's make a motion to do a conditional.
So I'll motion for a conditional approval of the Chicago Booker sculpture.
So John Fume motions to conditionally approve the sculpture project. Can we get a second?
Well, let me finish that up, Andy. Let me finish that up real quick. Based on their committee providing the location, design ideas, proof of the agreement for care. I think that was the three things, right, Andy? Okay, that's it. That way we just have it documented correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So
John motions to conditionally approve based off of the design, the location, and the contract going over the care and condition of the sculpture and ongoing maintenance. Can we get a second to approve it?
I second.
So Megan and Eric both motion or second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, so everyone's here except for Larissa, so we have quorum. So we'll give you guys conditional approval to move forward with that. And if you guys come back, we'll be pretty happy to see more information about the location. I'm pretty interested in this, so be happy to have you guys back when you have more info for us.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. We are really excited to have this conditional approval and to really get things going with Chikaya. It's going to be a fun process.
Yeah, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We're proud to partner with the City of Akron and the Arts Commission because this is going to be transformational and there's more to come. But thank you for helping us with this first step.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. I'll see you down at Lock 3, I guess. So
let's have a lunch.
Dan.
Again, if you want, just let me know. All right.
And Dan, I reached out to you, by the way. So I gave you my updated. Yeah, absolutely. So I've landed and we're moving forward, but we can talk offline. Thank you.
Sounds good. I look forward to connecting with you.
Absolutely.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Danny.
Bye-bye.
Great. We have the Ed Davis mural as well. Summer, do we have folks presenting today for that Davis mural, or are we just reviewing the art submitted by them? Do we want to share that? I can share that on my screen if
Yeah, that's
or
fine. You can
just
share it. I reached out, and then get a response of them being able to present, but he did fill out the actual submittable application so that, we could take a look at it.
gotcha.
And I'll just speak to it about it a little bit. I know that our engineering team, Ed Davis, will be having probably their grand opening towards the end of this month, beginning of next. And so they were looking to be able to put this mural up. They don't have a location yet in the building. You know, they're still doing stuff in the building as far as the build. So there's no exact location. Just as long as it's in the building. I don't know if you all want an exact location. I can't give that to you right now. But I can update you with that information at a later time with the location. But we're thinking it'll be somewhere near the front entrance.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is the art,
Yeah, that's the mural.
and it's based off the other photo. I don't know if you guys saw me cycle through. Did you guys see the photo it was based off of? I think some of you had a chance to review the submittable, but I'm not sure if everyone had a chance. So I just want to make sure everyone was able to see it.
Yeah, so I think that's the original photo of him back when he was a city council person.
And then there's this photo, and I'm not sure if this was like intended to be like a potential location for the
That's
mural
City
or
Hall.
That's
Yeah.
the background.
City Council chambers.
anywhere around there, or outside, or I know the general area. So, yeah. Eric, John, Megan, Leo, Roberta, any comments?
Andy, just to be
Yep.
clear, that photo that you were referencing to,
Yeah.
that photo is City Council chambers.
City Council chambers.
And that's the
Yep.
back of the mural. So that's him standing in front of the chambers. That makes
Correct.
sense?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, in the photo. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
hmm
In the mural. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about the location during the last meeting, right? Generally, the building that it's going to be in.
Yeah, it's going to be in Ed Davis Community Center.
Right.
But far as the location of where this portrait will hang, we don't have clarity on that. Susie, do you know, has there been any conversation? And thanks for staying on. Has there been any conversation of where the mural is going to be exactly? I know when I spoke with Michelle, we weren't exactly sure where we were going to put the mural, but we knew it was going to be somewhere like in the front.
I don't know the location, I apologize, other than it's internal.
Yeah.
Again, I just think we need to know what the location is.
This is just a question that might be a little dumb. But is this image that you're showing right here, Andy, do we know if this is like the finalized image? Just because it looks in my mind that the background isn't done
I'm
being
assuming they're not going to like paint. This looks like it's, I don't know if this is like a digital rendering or if this is an actual painting, but I'm assuming this is just a digital rendering of the mural that's going to be painted. So I'm assuming this is just the design of a mural to be painted like on the wall once the location's selected. But that's not, I don't know if that's listed anywhere, but
It's
or,
not
or
going-
maybe this is printed out, or I'm not exactly sure on that part.
Andy, it's not going to be painted on the wall. It's going to be a portrait framed, hung on the wall.
On the wall. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it did mention a lot. They were using a large canvas actually down in the submittable.
Yeah, if you click
So-
on that X, you will be able to see the full application if you guys haven't printed it out.
So let me ask you a question. If yeah, this is where I'm getting lost here. If it's a frame portrait, why do we need to know the location? It can move at any second. It's going within the building, correct? So
Yes.
as the commission, why are we concerned of where they mount this piece
So
of
when-
art?
Yeah, when I made that comment, Eric, I did not know it was a framed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I thought it was
Yeah, and I
painted on the
apologize. I
walls.
should have been, when we were referring to it sort of back and forth between portrait and mural, I think that that is confusing. So it is a painted, I think on a canvas, but it's definitely like a framed image. It's not to be painted on the wall. I apologize for any lack of clarity.
Great. Okay. All right.
It says here, large canvas.
In the organization with Ed Davis, they chose this artist. Like this wasn't like a public thing. They chose her on their own.
So from when she spoke at our last meeting, she's a family member of the Davis family. So Keith Davis is the son of Ed Davis.
Got it.
They wanted to do something for their father because, you know, the old Ed Davis was torn down. So this is a new build, new things, right? So they wanted to get a mural, a portrait painted in their father's memory to be put in Ed Davis. Darren, I think, is a cousin of Keith's, where she's an artist, so that it was only fitting for a family member to do the art piece. Makes it more special, more, you know.
That makes sense. I get it.
So what's our action item right now? What are we doing?
I would say we should vote on it.
All right, let's go.
If it's, especially if it's
We already
framed.
spoke to the artist.
so
We
too.
have the actual submittable application now. I think we should vote on it.
Yeah, as of the last meeting too, I think we were only really requesting to see the design, which we have here.
Correct. So Andy, let's vote.
Yeah, if you want to make a motion to approve the design for the framed portrait of Ed Davis, the Ed Davis Community Center.
It's on you, my friend.
I'm not allowed the motion.
You got to make a motion, Eric, or somebody.
John, you go. John, you're good at this. You go.
So I make a motion to accept the design for the Ed Davis framed portrait to be hung somewhere in the community center. Give me a second, Eric.
Let's
Come
go.
on.
Let's
Can we
go.
get a second?
Been a
All
long
right,
day.
so Jessica Travis seconds. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, so that's quorum. So we have everyone here except for Lewis and Brown. I think everyone said aye. So go ahead and approve the design for the hanging portrait at Davis Community Center. So, all right.
That's gonna be legendary. Wow.
Yeah. And Eric, you were a part of the original team. What was it, last year or the year before?
2 years.
With the
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I cannot wait. Oh my. Cannot
Okay,
wait.
so
I'll keep you
the
all
next
informed of
thing-
the grand opening date when it's set. We
Please.
don't have a date locked in yet.
Okay.
yeah, if you could email everyone, actually.
Yep.
If I have time, I like to make it to stuff. I'm really busy, but when I have time, I actually show up to stuff. Believe it or not.
Hey Andy, can we just get through the month with you health wise? Let's concentrate on that, man.
We don't know. We'll see tomorrow. I might we'll see if I survive. I don't know.
Stop.
Andy will be okay.
I'm not that worried about it. I just like joking. So, yeah. So the next topic on the agenda, Leadership Akron has a Art and Culture Day on December 11th at 9:30. And says need a speaker. So I'm assuming Summer has more information about that.
Sure. So Leadership Akron and some other artists are coming together, doing a arts and cultural day. I think this is something that they do every single year. They reached out to me for someone to speak to the group on arts and culture. Maybe a presentation, maybe a conversation. But I wanted to see if someone would be able to step up and do that.
John, didn't my class 37 come and visit you in your facility?
Yes, you did. This year, the Art
Yes.
Museum is not part of the agenda. We're doing diversity on board and
Oh, okay.
other events that I'm not aware of. It's on the calendar here. So yes.
Do you know who the other artists are or the team they have together so far?
I don't. I know Mac Love is involved in it. He's the one that originally reached out to me.
He's on-
But I really think this is Leadership Akron's thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they could have reached out to some other people asking, for advice. But this is more of a Leadership Akron thing with Henry Johnson.
Yeah, you know what? We are giving a tour to the class that day, come to think of it.
Yes.
So,
It was awesome. And thank you for doing that, by the way.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to welcome the class at 10:45 when I just spoke to them at 9:30.
Yeah.
It would be the Arts and Culture Day with John
I wouldn't
Fumey.
mind speaking if I had more details ahead of time. So I would just need
I can
details
get you
on.
more details. I was just,
It's really easy. Andy, you'd be great at it if you're. If you're gonna be-
I've spoken it in front of like a few hundred people a few times. I'm pretty cozy. I think this is like what, 30 people. So
yeah. So
Well, hold on, Andy. Don't do that. Those 30 people, the way they view things, it's like
I hope
4,000.
they ask a lot of good questions, or I like that. So I was a teacher. I like when people ask good questions. I like answering questions and stuff. So I'm good at
that's awesome.
I can throw a PowerPoint together in a night. I like giving talks. So I do it at work. I press it upon people. It's
So
my
Andy, you'll
favorite
be
thing.
in motion, right?
So Andy's it. Yeah, that's it. We're
You're
good.
gonna be up and running.
Yeah, I just need to make sure I'm able to make it as well, depending on
Well,
like the time. So I
you
just need
have
to I need to make sure
have the
that I
date
have
and time.
no
The date
client
and time,
meetings.
December 11th at 9:30.
Okay.
So I'll
All
just
right.
get you some more information.
I'll look right after this meeting. I have to look in my my computer for my client to see if I don't have a meeting because I don't
Plus,
have
we
it
have
on
a
my
commission
personal
meeting
computer.
that evening. Right, Summer?
I don't know. Let me look. I'm sorry.
I should just take that
Yeah.
day off then. That's too much stuff.
Nope, it's not. You'll be okay.
I just want a reason to take a day off,
Thursday.
actually.
And then I think I'll well, go ahead, finish, Andy.
So
Okay. Our December 11th meeting, I think we should probably have a planning. That should be more of like a planning meeting if we don't get a lot of submittable applications on our 2025 year. So as far as like what we plan to do, money, see if we're able to get some money.
and that's my bad. I
other
dropped the
ways.
ball. I was supposed to start putting together like a spreadsheet for planning for next year, for like a work plan or something like that, and I did not put that together because I got
Okay, so
super
just have
busy.
it for December 11th, and I'll work with you on that. Yeah.
And look, I'll be like stuck in bed for a few days, so I'll like need things to do. So that'll be great.
And Andy, don't recreate the wheel either. It went from Kat to me to you. So just
And I have
follow the process.
the email that you sent me. I have that email saved in a folder that has all the access to the Google Drive. So I'll go look at the Google Drive and see what you guys have to make sure I'm not like redoing too much.
Okay.
Perfect.
I guess one other thing I want to bring up, I don't know if this helps Susie being here. We're looking at the budget. I know that we've like you applied for the grant. I know we're not expecting any money for like the TIF going forward. And we were looking at like being able to like talk to the city about getting like funding from like the administrative budget or something. Because we had a goal set originally back when Kat was here and other things about establishing maybe like an artist in residence program or being able to fund more murals in the city. I know John was talking about, and other people were talking about being able to like fund more traffic boxes, but then also past that, being able to fund like additional murals in the individual wards after we had the traffic boxes up and some of this other stuff wrapped up. So I was curious if there was like any way to like just start a conversation about that, since it seems like the tariff money's not going to get to us for a very, very long time. If that's a thing.
The TIF money will come together faster than you think. So having the city commitment to it and having that been made a couple of years ago, so that starts to generate for sure. I think that there is a question about the commission as a programmatic entity versus an approving entity. And so thinking about a budget for it, I have not been approached to request a budget for it. And it is also not my department, but it's something that I think could be considered for sure. And that should have a proposal attached to it, right? So how do we approach the work strategically? I think that was one of the things that Nicole Mullet had asked of the city is, what is our strategic approach to, supporting the arts? And so the funding that goes into neighborhood concerts, that goes into
Right.
programming at Lock 3, that goes into maintaining art throughout the city, those things. It's difficult to I think that people get frustrated. They want to see, bigger, better, faster, more. But it's also important to consider that we have to maintain the things that we do have, and then just be thoughtful about what that program might look like moving forward. Curated Storefront has been a partner that has done a lot of the, public mural work and fundraising for the murals, and Civic has also moved into that space. OECC has moved into that space. The city, to my knowledge, hasn't funded a lot of that stuff, would probably know better than I. Since probably Lock 3 Summer Arts Experience was the last time there was significant infusion of project money into the visual arts, unless I'm missing something. Oh no, there were like the gateway signs that were done.
Oh yeah.
Right, so those projects kind of, I think they happen and there's buzz around them when they happen. But we should get to a point where the city has a more planned approach to how they are going to contribute to visual art in the neighborhoods and throughout the city. And I don't have the answer to that question right now.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
that's completely fine too. I know that we talked with Nicole Mullet and she provided a lot of information and planning work. And I know she was also like willing to like step up to help with that conversation. And I'd always be happy to help jump into that conversation as well. I know we're always worried about the city-owned public art, and now when we're finishing the inventory, one thing we're seeing with MAC is how much of that is actually art that's probably going to require maintenance moving forward. And so we actually have some way to actually quantify what we'll need in terms of being able to like maintain the public art that's not the stuff that's owned by Curated Storefront or some of these other third parties. So just something to start with. And I know that it's just something that we all need to like just start maybe like talking about moving forward, if it's something that's possible to like, if whether the art commission is going to be responsible for that or the city or whoever else. I know we're always asking about maintenance of the art, but I guess we're just looking to see whether that falls under our purview. If it is, we're looking to just be able to have like funds to actually make sure we can maintain some of this stuff now that we have like the inventory, and we're going to be able to like look through the inventory and see where we want to like invest. So
I don't want to volunteer this, but it might be helpful to have a deeper dive conversation about the TIF and how the TIF is generated over time. If you want to have that as part of one of your commission meetings, I can work with David Messner to put that together.
yeah, I know Summer actually reached out too, and I know I think it was actually over the last year, and we were looking at how the TIF generated funds, and it was looking like it was going to be like 2029 or later, because a lot of the big construction projects, either because they're delayed or like administrative hurdles, weren't actually going through yet, and so there just wasn't expected to be TIF money until like later than was originally projected when they first did the analysis, which was why we were asking about it too. So. Yeah.
Susie, I'm in contact with Alyssa Gregg, who does, she's reviews the tips and things like that. So when we started in 2020, we were told, we'll be able to do a lot of things with the TIF money when we started in 2020. And, every year I ask, like, is there any money? They're like, nope. So I'm like, okay. So we're working off of the $100,000 donation, which is now with our two big projects that we've done, we're only at about $18,000 and $19,000 left now. Once, MAC finishes the inventory, and then we do the first round of the traffic signal boxes. So then after that, that leaves really nothing to do anything, really big at. So yeah, we can have those conversations internally. And then we can also, maybe you come to our next meeting and we kind of have a bigger, deeper dive into what that looks like for our future.
Sounds good.
And then also,
Alrighty.
just to give you guys all the heads up, I put it in an email, but I'll say it on the record. I did apply for the neighborhood partnership grant. Pray for me. I did the grant myself. I think it sounded pretty good. People looked at it. But I did ask for $3,000 per ward out of 10 wards, that's a total of, oh, Andy got kicked out. That's a total of $30,000. So hopefully members of council and the selection committee would, really look at this as something valuable for their wards and for our community. I'm hoping and I'm thinking that some of the traffic signal boxes that we already approved should start popping up maybe late November, early December, as long as our weather is good. So that would be something really nice to see. Now, the grant, if we do receive it, it's for 2025. And we have to have that money up front. So we have to be able to pay out that 30,000 and then be reimbursed the 30,000. So I did partner with a nonprofit organization as a 501c3 who would have the funding to provide us in the event that we are approved. So we'll be able to do the work, and then we'll be able to submit the receipts to the partnership company. And
So who's the partnership with, Summer?
I'm sorry?
Who's the partnership with?
ADC.
Okay. So I'm just not sure on these types of things. I would think that the commission should be informed ahead of time, right? On these types of partnerships, is that something we should be approving? I just want to make sure that we're
Well, it's a nonprofit that has our money. So they have the Public Art Commission's funding.
Okay, got it. And Susie, you're on that committee or whatever. I think you're on the ADC board or something.
I am on the ADC board. Did you mean as far as submitting a grant for a neighborhood partnership? Would that be something that?
Well, because I got a document for me to sign off on for the neighborhood partnership fiscal agent declaration. And
Okay.
I don't understand this document enough to feel confident on what I'm signing off on.
So did that come from Sean?
No, that came from.
Well, you don't have to disclose it. That's fine.
I think that came through Submittable, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I think
John, I don't know what that one is, so I
You know what?
apologize. I'm
Sorry,
not sure.
John. I was moving fast. I had to do the grant. I had to get it all done. I put your name because you're the longest standing member
Well, I
on
thought
the
you
Public Arts Commission.
Yep.
So I did put your name down as a reference. So my apologies.
Totally
for
fine. No,
not
totally fine. I just want to
informing you of
notice
that.
on the
Yeah.
grant that the total on the grant wasn't
Yeah.
correct. So just so you know, Summer, I mean, I don't think you're gonna have a problem, but the total on the grant that you're asking for says 3,000, not 30,000.
Well, I had to do 3,000 because it's 3,000 for each ward, but the whole application,
Okay,
I
just
mapped
mine's
everything
total.
out
Okay.
per,
All right, I
yes,
reviewed it. I
I
just want to make
itemized
sure you're good.
everything.
Okay.
And it states like, how much money are you asking for the grant? And I put a total of 30,000. And then I broke it down 30 per each ward.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
'Cause I
I'm
read the
sorry. I didn't even
application.
realize that was being shot over. I'm sorry. I'm not a grant writer, so I
No,
was just doing my
it's
best
totally
to
fine.
make sure that we're getting
we
the
should.
funding and that we can.
Yeah,
we
I
can
mean, we should just
sustain.
know about this all the time or ahead of time. So this is
Yeah.
good. I want to be able to help you and not hinder the process. So, yeah, just let me know what I need to do there, if anything.
Okay, I'll get with you.
Because that's where I caught that at the, yeah, and I saw the Bloomberg one as well. Which was, that's over a year old. We never got that one, right?
No. There's no other grants. No.
Okay.
There's a Bloomberg in 2025.
Got it.
And then there's another, I think, Our Town or something like the other grant that I've been looking at to see if we can get some type of funding. So I've been reviewing grants to see how our work can apply
Yeah, okay.
to these grants.
All right. And cool. And then I'll get the minutes read and sent over to you, Summer. Right? And then the only other thing I had that's attached to that is Haley and paying Haley.
So yeah, I wanted to have a discussion about that.
Okay, great. I'll toss that back
Yeah.
over to you.
Yeah, so I don't have the capability of doing minutes. And by us having roles, we have to do those rules. I don't have the capability of sitting down and reviewing and doing minutes, especially if I'm talking. during the majority of the minutes. We were able to do them because I had interns. The interns worked out. We were able to do the minutes, the agenda, all of that stuff. I need to now push that back into the will of the commissioners and the leadership to do those types of things as board members or as commission members. If I get another intern, it would be great. They can utilize that, and they can, that can be something part of their job as I have done in the past. But me, as far as my role, I can't do minutes or really the agendas anymore. That should be done by the leadership.
So did you find out from legal if we can use AI?
Right now in our IT is not big into AI. Now, if you were to do that on your own, however I don't know how you would subscribe it or whatever, that would be fine. But as far as getting AI with the city, and I did ask about that, not at this time.
So
just because of glitches.
About that is this is still city business, and we are contracted as a quasi-city employer contractor with our being commissioners.
Right,
So
and also other
assume that we're not
commissions.
allowed to use AI.
Well, I can't say, I can't download it.
I know we just need, I know, but let's say I decide I'm gonna take the minutes. I don't know if I can legally use AI being a contract employee of the city.
Let me ask that question.
But let's get clarity there, because
Susie,
there
do
might
you
be
know?
some
Can you
ways we
answer
can
that?
make this happen very easy.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to the question. I would route it through both law and IT. They are concerned with us we're not allowed to use AI for anything as city employees. So you ask a really good question, John. Under the auspice of your commission role, is there any kind of a conflict if you were to use it to take notes during a meeting, especially if those notes then turn around and they become public record anyway?
Right.
Right. So, I mean, there's part of me that's like,
And if the notes have
so
to
it's
be,
public
and
record.
if the notes have to be reviewed and approved anyhow, then it may not be.
Yeah, so
an issue.
yeah,
So,
that's what
Yeah.
throws me off, because they have to be reviewed, and AI, actually we use it every day, all day. So it's
saving us a
strange
lot
that
of
the city
time.
of Akron would have an issue with AI other than, okay, I won't say that online. Never mind.
Well, no, I can sort of speak to it. So when you use, let's say example, Chat GPT, whatever you put into that chat, right? So if you're uploading, let's say a grant application and you're asking for it to fine tune language in it, whatever you put in, then it does become the property of Google or whoever the owner of the AI is. And so the city is sensitive about what content might migrate into that open source platform that would not be public record. So because we have sunshine laws that govern everything that is released to the general public, that's where the gentle line comes under consideration. In this case, since the document would be turned around and made public record anyway, that's where I would say, it seems like it would make fair sense for it to be used in that way, but would appreciate being able to run that past both departments before I go on.
No, completely
Record.
understand. Yeah, absolutely. Completely understand the security of it all. But again, what we speak and what we say here is immediately transmitted to the public, so it doesn't really hold water within this commission, I guess you might say. But again, dot the i's, cross the t's, and let's move forward. So thank you. I appreciate that.
and then I would just like to know what the other commissions are doing with taking their minutes, things of that sort, because
Yeah. So I will definitely reach out to IT and law about your question, John.
okay.
I do know for sure with the Civil Rights Commission, they do have their secretary does take their minutes. And other commissions, they do have within their leadership, their chair, their board president, their people do their own minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, and just the IT people that are there, they're there just to make sure it runs smoothly, which I do the IT for us. And then their city lawyer, their city official person, their city official person is there to, or law is there to address any concerns or questions that they have, which I do as well for this commission too. So, but yeah, every other commission, they all take their own minutes and they create their own agendas.
Okay.
Doesn't YouTube have a feature where for like hearing disabled people, like don't they have something like that where we could just pull that transcript up as we're talking? You know what I'm talking about, like the CC, the caption, closed caption. Don't if our meetings are live and after we play them, shouldn't that capture everything we're saying?
It should, but it doesn't capture the names. If we led with, "Hey, I am Eric Reynolds, and I'm about to say,"
Oh, got it. So okay.
And that's why
but
you all
that was brilliant though, Jessica. That's quick with it. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, it's awesome. Okay, we're at 5:30, Summer.
Oh, I'm done.
Well, if we don't have anything else, I don't think there's anything else on the agenda, right?
Nope, no
Are there any
comment.
no public comments? All right. Does anyone have any events or meetings or anything they want to share before we? No? All right. What was that?
I will be doing a art demonstration at Akron U next Wednesday for the Rethinking Race event. So I'm one of the feature panelists, and I will be doing an art demonstration for them.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. So if we get a motion to adjourn the November Akron Public Art Commission meeting.
Sorry, I have 2 events to talk about.
Oh.
Also, I'm really excited about Jessica doing this during Rethink Your Race. It's very exciting. We have the university has a Zips Guide holiday market coming up in the student union. I am blanking on the date. It's in December. And then there's a holiday market at House 330 as well at the end of this month. So yeah, that's all. And I can motion to end the meeting if you would like.
All right.
One more thing.
Yep.
Susie just put something in the chat, so everyone be aware of that.
I'm going for sure. I'm
hope to see you at the opening of Block 3, November 29th at 7:30 p.m. following the holiday light parade at 6 p.m. And we can get a sign if we want and march in the parade as the Public Arts Commission. I can get that created.
That'd be so dope.
We can get that created, but we can't find somebody to take minutes. I love it.
Yeah.
No, I said
something wrong with that.
No, I said I will get
Some
the
things
sign
are more
made
important.
all march in the parade. Not somebody, you, the commission.
Different amounts of effort. All right.
All right, motion. Someone motion, please.
So Megan motion to adjourn the
Okay,
meeting. Can we get a second?
We are done. I second.
All right, John Fume seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. That concludes the November 13th Akron Public Art Commission meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one,
Bye.